Hello and welcome to the Core Advantage podcast. My name's Durham McInnes.
And I'm Jacob Tober.
On the podcast, we talk about all things sports science, strength and conditioning, and athletic development.
You'll find links, show notes, and references in the podcast details and also on our website.
All right, welcome to episode 160 of the Core Advantage Random Thoughts Show. Hey, Jacob, how you doing?
I'm good. Durham, yourself?
I'm good. I'm actually pretty excited. It's been a funny week, a bit of a roller coaster, hasn't it? It was kind of depressing to have it confirmed how long we are away from being open, and then things changed yesterday.
Yeah, everyone's sort of having their industry-specific meetings and going, well, what about us? What about us?
Yeah.
What about us? And Fitness Australia did us a pretty good solid, I
think
think.
they did.
Yeah. So we are now part of step 3 of the reopen, I think is how that's being termed.
Yeah.
Which is October 26th.
Yeah,
at the earliest, if we meet all the criteria and trigger points and stuff like that.
45 days. Not that anyone's counting. So
it'll be 44 by the time people hear this too.
Yeah,
it'll take me a day to get it up.
Yeah, that's great.
Even closer.
So I'm so excited. So because we had such a short amount of time to enjoy the new, Core Advantage 3.0, the new format, the new layout, and everyone loved it, but we just didn't get a chance to kind of settle into it. So I'm super psyched to be getting it open again.
Yeah, because I'm not sure about you, Darren, but I'd almost packed it in for the year. I thought, Christmas, that it'll get to mid-December and they'll just go, you know what, you guys can wait till January. Yeah. Sitting in cafes and gyms and recreation centers, you can wait till Jan.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're now part of not even the last step, but the second last step was step 3 is really cool.
It's so good. I'm so excited. And you know what? In a selfish way, I'm also really excited to be getting back that temperate month or so that we get in Core Advantage. Because Core Advantage it's like it's like kind of like Siberia. It's either too hot or too cold. That's September, October. That's the sweet spot in our gym temperature wise. So it'd be nice to enjoy a bit of that. What's also exciting is the fact that personal training can kick off in just 17 days. Outdoor personal training as of the 28th of September.
One coach, 2 clients. Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to get around that and utilize the fact that we've got a great big car park and also maybe use our side area if we can get that all ship-shape in time as well. So
nice.
I'm pretty excited about that as well. I think it's come just in time because I feel like everyone's tried really hard and we kind of ground our way out, but there is that sense of it being like we're in the fourth quarter and the fatigue's hit. So this is a real shot in the arm, I think, to enable us to kind of push that out.
Yeah, fatigue levels are pretty high. I think just mentally people have really, because the roadmap is what it is. Like there's nothing, it's an uncontrollable variable. We can't, like Gavin talked about last week, you can't really do anything to, change the politicians' minds or change the science behind it as well. Because, the science is the science, infection rates are what they are. But the fact that now we've got some things to look forward to, there's an end line. Maybe it's a theoretical end line. Maybe it's another week after that. But that's 45 days or 50 days is so much better than a big fat question mark.
So much better. And
it was just uncertain before.
Yeah, and even if it's still actually that date gets moved a little bit, at least there's a sense of progression. It's like, well, it'll be plus or minus X amount of days to get to that. Yeah, so I'm so excited. I think it's going to be great for our athletes. The timing couldn't be better. And I guess what I'm really hoping that we can achieve is that we can have our people and the people that train with us, and even the people that just follow us that don't actually train with us, but they're interested in what we do and follow along. That we can have the people that are in our world, in our community, not be part of those horrible stats of injuries that we're going to have. I think,
the reload issue.
Yeah, and I worry a little bit that we did a good job of frightening people into reloading intelligently last time.
In lockdown 1, yep.
But I worry that there's going to be whatever. It's harder to get people to reload intelligently the second time round. I think it's an interesting variable.
just in the same way there was lockdown fatigue with lockdown 2, there'll be reload fatigue. Shut up and just let me play, just let me get back to whatever.
Yeah.
Not this. It's sort of a knowledge of, but ignorance towards doing it right because of the impatience. And that's just human nature. Like, we just want to get things done quicker. We just want to get there.
And also, I would argue that the worst thing you can have happen is a little bit of sport and not enough sport happen to have a catastrophic run of injuries. Just enough people to go, it's okay, look, we were back at it. No one exploded in the first 2 weeks. What are you talking about? So, so yeah, it'd be very interesting. So what we're pushing, what I really want us to get out there is this idea that, yes, it's late in the fourth, there is some fatigue, but now is the time to really dig deep in terms of putting in that. And so it's this weird mixed analogy. It's late in the fourth of the preseason before your preseason. No, I'm not saying
you sent me.
I'm not saying it's perfect.
You've started writing a bit of a blog on this stuff, like an email type blog situation.
It was meant to be an email, but it's turned into a blog.
It's a blog. It's definitely a blog. But you talked really nicely in that written language about the fourth quarter concept. Talk a little more about that now, about that idea of sort of fleshing out the fourth quarter and how that applies to this. Ignore the preseason of the preseason bit. Don't worry about that bit. That gets murky. But just the actual fourth quarter concept. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's the last sprint.
Yeah, and it's the time. It's the time to dig deep and set yourself up. And you've put all the work in. You've gone through the game, and it's the time to dig deep and actually put in the work. Because a lot of people have been good. A lot of people have pushed quite well through the whole of the lockdown. But you don't want to just fade in this fourth quarter. You want to push that right through. And there's a health benefit. Obviously, the health and happiness stuff is super important. Like, you just want to close that side of things out. And that's an element of the benefit of pushing through. But I think also really important is just that if you put that work in now, you lay that foundation. So you just kind of roll into starting back at the gym, and then your preseason will be better. So there's a foundational structural element of pushing hard now so that you're literally ready for preseason. Rather than coming in having been a bit of a couch potato. The greatest shame would be to be really good for the first 75% of lockdown and then fall over in the last 25. And it's almost like you may as well have not bothered putting in that first 75. Like, a fair bit of those benefits evaporate. And so I think exactly. And I think so. There's the just doing your time with happiness. And so I recorded a new episode of Pressure Makes Diamonds, the fourth quarter edition. And so we'll have that up and out, and that'll go in our emails. We'll have a link to that in our Insta and stuff. And I've shaved that down to a 30-minute, pretty short, sharp what, why, and how in terms of staying healthy and happy.
Nice.
So there's the health benefits. There's the foundational element in terms of that reload. But I also think there's something at play, which probably we haven't talked that much about. And that's this idea of how you deal with this adversity is actually a bit of a template for how you're going to deal with future adversity. Like, this is high point for difficulty and how you knuckle down and approach it. When something else comes along, it's going to be advantageous to have gotten to that habit, I reckon.
Yeah, that's sort of you watch a lot of the Michael Jordan documentaries, and that's one of the big things he had is like how he approached anything was how he approached everything. So, he made things personal. He made it a competition. He was fiercely competitive. Yeah. Someone said a thing, so I made it personal and dropped 40 on them. But it's the same thing, just in sport, but in life as well. It's a good way of approaching things. Well, this may be as tough as it gets. If I handle this well, if I nail this situation, that skill set of being tough, of handling pressure, transfers to everything else you do. So it transfers to actual sport when it gets back to getting time on the court and the field and on the racetrack, but also to studies, to your job, to your life, to financial difficulties, whatever it might be. That ability to go, okay, remember 2020, that horrible COVID double lockdown situation? Geez, I handled that well. That was a skill I now have for future me.
Yeah, you take that with you. So I think that's a huge element to it. And I think that's a good motivation too. So I think if your motivation and enthusiasm for training has waned a bit, I think that idea of, well, this isn't just about now. This is actually about laying down sort of the moral fiber of who I am and how I deal with difficult situations. I think that's pretty cool. So there's a lot. So, I think it's one of those situations where people are feeling, oh, there's not much to train for. And I get that feeling. But when you think it through, there's actually heaps to train for. You're training for your health and happiness and productivity. Even if you're not getting back into sport that quickly, you still got to do well with school. You've got the rest of your life, and you want to be happy. But yeah, there's a lot there in terms of the physical and those sort of foundational elements. Tell me, I think those are the big sort of things I'd like people to get across to people. Do you have other things that you've been thinking about? Because you and I've been so busy with the new courses we're launching, and the new marketing program for the education stuff, as well as all the normal athlete stuff. We haven't actually talked much about the athlete side of it. What else have you been thinking about around that?
Not much, to be honest. Actually, I've been I'm trying to just focus on getting a bit of, like, I got some big jobs and they're kind of infinite things where you could always keep working on them, but trying to get some big things ticked off before the gym opens. Because for me, the lockdown's been a bit of an opportunity to do some other work and develop some other skill sets and things like that outside of just the coaching side of things. So trying to develop some skills in graphic design, trying to do some stuff in the marketing space to get better at those sort of things as well. So I'm trying to use these as excited as I am to get back in the gym, these 45 days are also a good chance for me to get some big projects ticked off and get some jobs done. So I'm actually kind of trying to stay a little more present, a little more focused in that side of things.
And well, that's I think served us pretty well, hasn't it? You've got a lot done in that space. Let's talk about that briefly. So I don't think we've talked about the new courses, the whole education side of things.
Yeah.
So what do you want to lead off? Should we talk about the traction catalyst change up and how and the kind of advice we got? Is that a worthwhile thing to chat about?
Yes. So let's start at the start. So we've been running a mentorship forever, since before I started at Core Advantage. I was actually part of the first formal mentorship, which was an in-gym thing. You came in, we did lectures, we coached on the floor, all that kind of thing. And that still runs. We still do the internship, or hopefully we'll be doing that starting from next year when the gym opens up again. But then we eventually, was it 2 years ago now, 2018, we turned that into an online course.
Yeah.
I don't even remember when it was.
You came to me and said, I think this thing is going to be good enough to be a great online course, and we should give it a go. And you spent basically a year, really, didn't you? Like it was quite a long time.
It was 6 months. Yeah, it sort of started late 2017, started filming in 2018, and then had it all kind of wrapped up by June, July. So I had 18 new units. Oh, then I did the advanced course as well. So I suppose it was the full 12 months, wasn't it? But yeah, so
it was
created. Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, for those of you that have worked with Jacob, he's under pressure. Jacob's pretty outstanding. But the new skill of learning to deliver lectures to a screen was pretty full on. And I will never forget when you came to me, and because the easier way to do it is where you make yourself little, and so you can afford to not perform that well to the screen, and the slides are huge. But we made the creative decision that we wanted it to be like we're in the room with people. And so we went with...
like a conversation.
Yeah. So we went with a big video, small slide embedded in. So you're seeing the slide smaller, and then the person's the dominant part of the whole thing. And I'll never forget you saying to me, Durham, I think I nearly had a panic attack yesterday. Like, that was hard.
I did. No, I did. Yeah, I had one. I 100% had a panic attack, and just had a day where I couldn't get good takes. I was fumbling through my words. I was getting all hot and clammy. I just gave up. I'd gone in because you have to do it in the gym in the morning when it's quiet before the coaching starts, because you can't, because in our studio's a bit close to the gym when the music's pumping. But yeah, I went in, did my routine, had my coffee, blah, 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 set up all the cameras and stuff, and then just couldn't get good tape.
Yeah.
Just couldn't make good video. I was like, and I was filming. So we sold it. We took the strategy of selling it before we'd made it,
Yep.
which is a common thing to do in education. So it was a progressive 18-week course. People were in week 2, and I was filming week 6.
Yep.
So I only had a month buffer ahead of myself, and to make a week took about a week. So I need, like, if I lost a week, I was now only 3 weeks ahead, not 4. So they would be catching up on me in this slow, months-long race to get done in time. And then on that day, just that,
Jacob,
that whole thing.
Jacob, hold on a sec. Our audio, I think you've got the good mic and I've got the crap mic because I'm so much quieter than you. I reckon you need to quieten down ever so slightly, and I need to noise you up. I'm worried that we're going to listen to it back.
That's all right. We can fix that in post.
Fix that?
It's fine.
Guys, just so you know, I can now
apologies,
see,
everyone.
I can now see the audio, which normally I can't see. So I can see Jacob's significant decibels compared to my little ones, and I'm worried that I'm just going to be this whispering person. Should I need to go a little closer? Is that
no? Because on my end, I'm seeing exactly the opposite.
So maybe
I'm seeing mine. I would not worry about it.
Oh, just relax. Okay,
new software, everyone. If this sounds horrible, apologies.
Yeah, we're giving it a go. Sorry.
We're working as we go.
Anyway.
I'm seeing the opposite time. You look really loud on my end. So.
Oh, cool. I'll relax. Okay, good, because I was distracting me. Thank you. Sorry, everyone. So that was full on, wasn't it? Getting that done.
Yeah, so that was a tough couple of weeks. But ended up staying ahead, got the course done, delivered the service to the people who'd bought it in time, so they weren't paying for something they didn't have yet, which is good. And then we iterated that a bit, and that went along for 2 or 3 semesters. We sold some copies, promoted it a little bit, and then what we realized is, after a great conversation with Owen from Science for Sport, we had a meeting and we were just chatting about it, and he just sort of just gently steered us in a certain direction.
Because what he basically said was, your online mentorship. He said, it's not really a lot of mentoring in your mentorship. It's more of a really good sort of master course. And so, we realized that he was spot on. And we said, all right, what if and one of the things that I reckon you're really good at, and I'm a work in progress on, is what if we were starting this over today? How would we actually structure it all? And it was a great question.
I love that question. That's a really, really good thought experiment. Just go, okay, the past is a gift to present you. What if it hadn't happened? What would you do if you were starting that same project again from scratch?
Would you take
what would you do differently?
Yeah, what would you do?
What would you start again?
Yeah. And so we decided, what we actually wanted was probably 2 courses: a technical master course, so a course that teaches you everything that you really need to know, but that paired with a mentoring program that actually teaches you all of the non-technical stuff you need to know, as well as actively helps you through mentoring to learn that stuff. So that's what we've got now. So we've got Catalyst, which is actually the old online mentorship, plus the advanced mentorship, plus what else? Have you added something else into that as well?
Yeah, so the beauty of doing an online course or building an app, for example, like the interval timing app versus, say, writing a book, is you can change it as you change. So it's not, once we've built Catalyst, which we're 80% of the way through putting together, all the stuff's filmed, but we could get to it and go, actually, you know what, the way we deliver that stuff about coaching theory or the art of coaching, whatever it might be, and go, actually, we've learned more stuff. We're now doing that differently. Get in the studio, re-record it, redesign the slides, do a bit more research, and the whole thing gets just a little bit better as you iterate through it. So it's got about, I think it's 20, 25 units of stuff. So things like running, agility, jump development, plyometrics, strength, Olympic lifting, velocity-based training, coaching theory, warm-up, anatomy, all these different topics about have we got a better word for soft skills yet?
No. I was trying to push human skills.
Human skills? Oh, yeah.
I like it better than soft because human skills make it sound more, they give it more primacy. Soft skills has a sort of secondary component to it. It's like, technical skills are blah, 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 but the soft skills, it just feels a bit, anyway. But yeah, the human skills, I think that's the best.
So if human skills are the new soft skills, then this course is all about the non-human skills, the technical skills.
Yeah.
Because then traction, the other course, which you're still in production as we speak, that course is the human skills. That's the soft skills.
And
so talk about that.
Yeah, so traction was the idea of, it was the culmination of an entire career observing some people with tremendously good technical skills actually not have particularly good careers, and then others whose technical skills were good but not incredible, really benefiting quite significantly and having a great trajectory. And what it is there's this whole thing about how you engage with people, how you treat people. There's and I talk about this concept of posse kindness, which sounds so lame. It's such a lame sounding word, but it's the idea of being a really enthusiastic person who cares about other people around them. That actually goes, and that if you combine that sense of care with also doing world class work, that has profound implications for your whole career, because all of a sudden it's like downhill skiing. Like, I had to do a presentation for the strength culture guys last year, and it ended up being sort of a riff on that. And it was this thing where I realized that I had pretty much every gig I have ever got has been someone coming up to me and saying, "Hey, would you like to do this? Hey, you did a great job on that. Do you want to do this?" Like, it's not going out chasing work. We're in this beautiful position where if you treat people well and you do great work, the work chases you. And so I think it was trying to find a way to get I reckon that's a big proportion of the course is the strategies and tactics of how that side of things operates, as well as all the operational stuff, like just the basic, how do you organize yourself? How do you be the best coach you can be in terms of meditation, daily habits, all the things that I've taken from, every book I've ever read and thought about, and kind of try to put everything in there. So what you end up with is, if you do the course, I think you end up with a very wise, if you're a young person doing it, you end up with a disproportionately wise perspective for a young person on that stuff. Because often you don't join the dots till the end of your career. And this is kind of a chance. Hey, here's these dots I've joined for you. Go after it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It's been really fun to do it, and nerve-wracking at first doing to the camera, but I'm actually quite comfortable with it. You get the hang of it, I think.
Yeah, once you go through that first panic attack, you really develop the skill quite quickly from there on in. It gets a lot more comfortable. But yeah, so 2 courses: Catalyst, which is the technical, the knowledge side of things, and then Traction, which is the wisdom. Make your mistakes fast, accelerate the way you think about things, be a nice person, develop that networking ability so that, good gigs just fall into your lap. So you don't have to grind your way through a career. You just kind of skate your way through. And the hardest part, the goal is for people who do Traction, the hardest part of their job is saying no to all the opportunities.
Yes. Yeah.
Not having to chase them all, having to decide which ones are the best ones to go after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely that's success if you've done that, for sure. Yeah. And so we built the courses, but the problem remains still that they're not that widely known. And so you had the idea of, let's do a bit of a promotion, and it was a really nice combo idea, because it was this thing of, well, we're all stuck in Melbourne, and I love this kind of we're all in this together energy that this time has created. And so you came to me with a very generous. I nearly fell off my chair when you suggested it, which was, let's do a competition, which I liked, and then and so the winner gets either the choice of Catalyst or Traction. I was like very happy with that. And then he said, but everyone gets 95% off our entire short course catalog. I was like, I took a little convincing on that one, because that's pretty generous. But I think it's cool,
because that's the third part of the education offering we're doing with our website now. The thing that myself and Pat and Josh and co have been working on so much over this lockdown is the putting together. So Traction, Catalyst, these 2 big, and they're expensive courses. Like they're a commitment in terms of time and finances, but they pay back. But some people aren't ready for that commitment. Maybe they just need a little bit of something about a certain topic. So what we've done is we've broken those courses down, and then we're selling the components as individual self-contained courses. So for example, we have a course on Olympic lifting. So it's 2 hours, 3 hours worth of content, some resources, a whole bunch of practical stuff, and you've got that, and you can do it in an afternoon kind of thing, or a couple of days. And so all these people are in lockdown, all these coaches and trainers can't do anything. So it's like, well, let's run a comp to promote the big courses and launch these new things. But also, $10, you can do 2 or 3 hours worth of stuff, 95% off. Let's get some people doing some really cheap education. It helps us share our content, helps them get better as coaches, develops the network. It's win-win. It's a really nice win-win where everyone gets a little bit something out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's riding along a really nice trend that we're seeing in Melbourne strength and conditioning, which is that our industry can be a little bit catty. People can be, not. It's not always people aren't always great to each other, but I think there's a real change. I think there's a real sense of camaraderie that's kicking in, which is really really exciting to see. And the idea that we have our own little core advantage community, which we treasure because it's we're very lucky to have such an awesome community. But then that community is actually part of another broader community as well. I think that's really really cool. So, and I really hope that trend, and I would like us to help that trend to be maintained, so things don't snap back to how they were before. I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, let's keep that culture going. It's really good.
Yeah.
For those interested, though, the competition as of publish is still running. I believe it ends on the 14th, which is in a couple of days from now. Details on our Instagram page. So if you want to enter, you want to get that 95% off and enter the draw to win one of the big courses, follow the details on our Instagram page at Core Advantage.
How much does your VBT course normally cost, and how much is it selling for it?
It's normally $210 for the level 1 and 2,
which is a great course. It's a world class. I love that course. It's world class stuff. Yeah. And how much is that?
Yeah. You can get it for $11.
Jesus.
I think it's got 5 or 6 hours worth of stuff in it.
It's a latte. It's a latte and half a sandwich.
It's half smashed avo on toast.
That's great. And so, I'm so pleased that we had the idea at the start of lockdown of, well, let's find ways to make this advantageous long term. Like let's use this as time to get some stuff done. I'm pretty pleased about that. The other thing is, I think it's going to be really interesting. So the education side has gone great. I'm really happy with the way our coaches have gone about it too. Their level of commitment. I see all the Zooms they're booked in with the athletes. Like they're going all out, which is really cool. The thing for me though is I'm having a really interesting sort of coaching renaissance sort of time. I'm missing coaching so much. I'm actually watching more stuff about the coaching, about the technical side of coaching, than I reckon I have in a long, long time, because it's like I'm not getting my fix of doing it, so I want to get my fix of thinking about it. And so I can't wait to actually get back in and to be back in the gym coaching. I reckon this experience of the first time of not coaching, basically, it's the longest time of not coaching since 1999 for me. The previous record was probably 21 days of not coaching. I'm really interested in seeing this give my career as a coach another sort of injection of energy, because I just want to coach people. I want to coach shapes. I want to push people. I want to have great strategies around how we get really good results. Everyone I think there's a lot of stuff there, which is pretty exciting. Word to the wise, my screen just went to the screensaver because I haven't touched the computer for a while. Totally freaked me out. It looked like I was going into a vortex. So I'm back. And so the roadmap from here on out. So we're going to switch. We're going to try and close out all the education stuff as rapidly as possible, because all of a sudden we're going to get busy. I anticipate it's going to be a really, really busy lead up to Christmas if everything goes to plan, because people need.
Oh yeah, they are. The state roadmap has dates, but it's still dependent on numbers and trigger points. So I think we had I think it's Friday at the time of recording. I think we had 41 cases or 42 cases today, which brings us inside the average for that 14 days. So it still depends on us doing the right thing and keeping this thing under wraps. If we get all casual early, then it just gets pushed back. Which, as a scientist, I like that it's not just fixed today. It's just in the same way we do an ACL rehab and we have competency-based progression, not just calendar-based progression. We have a community-wide, city-wide competency-based progression. The more we wash our hands, the better we are with wearing our masks. The sooner we get to go back to the cafes and the gyms.
I think that's great. Yeah, and the level of transparency on it is much better now as well. So I think that's really, really, really good. Yeah.
I am also loving now that we're part of stage 3, because I thought we were going to be part of step 4. I thought we were going to be the last step before COVID normal. So now that we're part of step 3, I'm really excited for that, because Amanda, my partner, who's an osteo, she works in Armidale on a really nice quiet strip, Beatty Avenue, and there's a bunch of cafes along there, and they're petitioning because of the outdoor cafe thing. They're petitioning over spring and summer to have the street closed so they can do dining on the main road out the front of...
They totally should do that.
I think it's going to be awesome. So now that we're part of that as well, I can have work and then go in there on a Friday night for dinner and some drinks and stuff like that, and just sit on the street out in the sun, and sort of on the northwest side.
That's great.
That's going to be perfect. So I thought I was going to be doing that, kind of a bit glum because the gym would still be closed.
Yeah.
But now that we're open and I can be doing that, I'm like, come on, step 3, let's go.
I think it's going to be great. And I think what I'm also looking forward to seeing is one of the cool things that we've seen happen is our online training obviously has gone through the roof because we transitioned all of our existing people. But what I didn't expect was how many great athletes we would have join us up via that never start with us during lockdown because they wanted us to help guide them in their training. And what's really cool is that you're getting people who are choosing you not because you're local. It's because they follow what we do and they really want the help. And I've been really impressed with what great results we're getting. We had one of the athletes that I'm coaching. She dropped 52 seconds off her 5K PB last week.
Is she a distance runner?
No, she's a basketballer, but she's just been following everything we're doing and just putting in a little bit of just for sort of emotional health benefits, not specific games conditioning, just doing a bit of longer stuff. Follow along that idea of that 30 minutes of cardio can be really good for your brain. And crushing it. And so we're getting quite a lot of people doing that. And so I wonder too whether we're going to see more. That's an ongoing trend where people are now comfortable enough with online that there'll be a proportion of our people seeking us out because they like the way we do things rather than because we are a close drive to them. And so that's kind of a cool thing as well to see how that all plays out.
It's so interesting how your standards and your expectations for things change when the world changes. The one example at the start of the first lockdown was ice hockey. Ice hockey players, as soon as they say do rollerblades, like, no rollerblades, no, not for ice hockey. It's not sport specific. It doesn't work. It's different. As soon as all the rinks got shut down, like, probably go get some rollerblades now, won't I? Because they've got no choice. There's no other option. So all of a sudden, what was before was unfeasible, ridiculous, that's so absurd, is now being like, that's actually the best we can do. So your standards on these things change. And so for a basketballer, the fact that she's out running 5Ks would normally make us, what are you doing? You're going to ruin your hops. You're going to this, that. And then we're like, actually, you're in the middle of lockdown. You can't go to work. You can't see your friends. That's mental health, staying active, cognitive function, good quality sleep. Like, that's actually now a 5-star decision. Yeah. Whereas before it would be a 1-star or a 2-star decision.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's so interesting that we had this conversation, and we're now proud of her, taking that time off her 5K. And I was like, is she a runner? Because I haven't met this athlete, obviously being remote. It's like, no, she's a basketballer. And I was like, it's lockdown. The rules are different. Yeah, the rules change.
On that, we bought some rollerblades because my kids got very enthusiastic about it, and I rollerbladed a lot.
Dom, are you Have you seen that? There's an Amazon ad where a dad is following his daughter around and she gets excited about a thing. He buys the thing and then they do the thing and then she finds a new thing. Are you with your kids a bit like that? Where it's like, she's into basketball, to buy a basketball and some shoes. She's into skateboard, to buy a skateboard and knee pads. And is that how it is in your house?
It's a little bit like that. And it would be a little better if it was me running the show, in the sense that, so the way I was brought up, so I played cricket and my dad had bought me all this cricket gear. And then I decided I wanted to play basketball. And my dad was like, I've just bought you all that cricket gear. He's like, yeah, you can play basketball, but you're going to play basketball in your cricket shoes. So my entire first season, I played in a pair of low-cut rubber stud cricket shoes. And at the end of it, he was like, okay, you appear to like this a lot. All right, I'll buy you a pair of Puma Jams. That was my first actual basketball shoe. I'll never forget the Puma Jam. But my wife's a little bit more likely to give them the stuff they want, so they got cool rollerblades pretty quickly. But anyway, we went to the store and they were like, "We are selling out!" Like the roll. There's like 2 rollerblade stores in Melbourne. They did a lot of business because everyone's just buying them. Yeah.
Same with bike stores. Bike stores had lines out the front. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah. So I reckon that's probably a good point to wrap on. That the world changed and people adapted pretty well with it in terms of the training. But we're coming back now, so it's time to get more sports specific. It's time to get into that reload idea, and really, I think the next month or so is be ready for preseason. So put that work in so that you've got the muscles are ready to go, so you can, if you're with us, so that you can be back in the gym, we can actually push hard. Because what I really want is we can push hard week 1. So we're not having to lay down a foundation for 2 weeks before we even get going.
Get that done now.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Show notes wise, I guess we'll
enter the competition. That's the show notes.
And
enter the competition.
Maybe a link to Pressure Makes Diamonds.
Yeah, I need to get that from you so I can hook that up. Yeah. Yes, let's totally put that in the new edition, the 4th quarter.
All right, good stuff. Okay, thanks heaps, guys, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. And before you go, hear from some of our alumni about our career transforming course, the online mentorship. Learn more about how you can join at our website.
I learnt the theory stuff at uni, but I didn't know how to apply it, and coming to Core Advantage was how I bridged that gap. So I knew the stuff, but I didn't know how to do the stuff.
It was something that I needed to do personally for my own development, and it's allowed me to work in elite sport for now 5 years, so it was a massive help.
I think mentorship is really important, and being able to ask questions all the time, and the Core Advantage course allows that because there is a big team of people that you can ask questions.
I get to train professional athletes every week, work really closely with professional athletes, which is awesome. A lot of the skills that I'm applying I learned through the program at Core Advantage.
It's not just something that you read and then think about and then go, oh, how does that tie into everything? It's something that practical that you can turn around and go, this is exactly how I'm going to apply it. And the concepts that you learn help you as a coach, as a professional, as a person. Yeah, it's awesome. Definitely go and do it.
To sign up for the online mentorship, head to coreadvantage.training/mentorship.